In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, countless stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Among these celestial bodies, spaceships of various shapes and sizes zipped by, carrying beings from hundreds of different alien species. But when these ships broke down or needed repairs, there was only one place they all wanted to go: human repair stations. The year was 2184, and humanity had made quite a name for itself in the galactic community. It wasn't because of advanced weapons or faster-than-light travel. No, humans were known for something far more practical and impressive: their ability to fix things. On the edge of human-controlled space, a massive structure floated silently. Its name, Stellar Fix-It, was displayed in glowing letters visible from light years away. This wasn't just any repair station. It was the crown jewel of human ingenuity and the go-to place for aliens with broken spaceships. Inside the bustling station, humans of all ages and backgrounds worked tirelessly. They wore bright orange jumpsuits with patches showing Earth's flag and the Stellar Fix-It logo. The air smelled of metal, oil, and a hint of coffee, the fuel that kept the human mechanics going. At the heart of this controlled chaos stood Sarah Chen, the chief engineer. She was short, with messy black hair often held back by a bandana covered in tiny wrench designs. Her hands were calloused from years of work, and her eyes sparkled with intelligence and curiosity. "All right, team," Sarah called out, her voice carrying over the din of clanking tools and humming machines. "We've got a Zork-class freighter coming in with engine trouble. Let's show these folks why they came to us." As if on cue, a massive ship lumbered into view through the station's force field. It was roughly egg-shaped, with odd protrusions sticking out at seemingly random angles. Puffs of green smoke escaped from what appeared to be its propulsion system. The alien crew, tall beings with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like oil on water, looked worried as they disembarked. Their captain, a grizzled veteran named Krazixt, approached Sarah with a look of desperation in his 3 eyes. "Human Sarah," Krazixt gurgled in the universal translator. "Our ship, she is very sick. Others say only humans can help. Is this true?" Sarah grinned, patting the alien's lower right arm reassuringly. "You've come to the right place, Captain. We'll have your ship purring like a kitten in no time." As Sarah and her team began their initial assessment, word spread through the station. Aliens from a dozen different species gathered to watch the humans work. Some bet on how quickly the repairs would be completed, while others debated the humans' methods. "I heard they once fixed a Gronk battle cruiser with nothing but chewing gum and a hairdryer," whispered a tentacle being to its gelatinous companion. "Nonsense," the blob gurgled back. "Everyone knows it was duct tape and a toaster oven." While the aliens gossiped, Sarah and her team got to work. They swarmed over the ship like ants, each person knowing their role perfectly. Some used advanced scanning devices to diagnose problems, while others already began removing damaged components. "Hey, boss," called out Raj, one of Sarah's best mechanics. He held up a twisted piece of metal. "Look at this. The quantum flux regulator is completely shot. Never seen one melt like this before." Sarah's eyes lit up with excitement. This was why she loved her job. Every day brought new challenges, new puzzles to solve. "Interesting," she mused, turning the part over in her hands. "Looks like it overheated when it came into contact with. Is that residue from a Keplerian wormhole?" Krazik's eyes widened in surprise. "Yes, we passed through one to escape pirates." "How did you know?" Sarah winked. "Let's just say we've seen our fair share of weird space stuff. Now, we'll need to fabricate a new regulator that can handle that kind of stress. Raj, get on that. I'll start recalibrating the main drive to compensate for the dimensional shift." As the humans worked, their reputation only grew. Aliens watched in awe as these seemingly primitive beings tackled problems that would stump their own best engineers. They used a mix of high-tech tools and what looked like junk from a forgotten era, combining them in ways no one else would think of. By the end of the day, news of the repair job had spread across 3 sectors. More ships were already lining up, hoping to experience the miracle of human engineering for themselves. Sarah wiped the sweat from her brow, looking at the steady stream of incoming vessels with a mixture of pride and determination. "Looks like we've got our work cut out for us, team," she said with a grin. "But that's just how we like it, isn't it?" The answering cheer from her crew was all the confirmation she needed. As long as there were broken ships in the galaxy, humanity would be there to fix them, one impossible repair at a time. As the galactic day cycle shifted into its night phase, the stellar Fix-It station hummed with activity. Sarah Chen and her team had just finished repairing the Zork-class freighter, and its grateful crew was preparing to depart. The station's docking bays were still full, with a line of ships waiting for their turn at human ingenuity. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed, casting an eerie glow over the startled faces of humans and aliens alike. "What's going on?" Sarah shouted over the noise, rushing to the control room. Raj, her trusty assistant, was already there, his fingers flying over the holographic displays. "Boss, you're not going to believe this," he said, his eyes wide with excitement and a hint of fear. "We've got an unidentified ship approaching. And when I say unidentified, I mean no one's ever seen anything like it before." Sarah leaned in, studying the readings. The ship that appeared on the screen defied description. It seemed to shift and change as they watched, its form never quite settling into a recognizable shape. "Is it alive?" Sarah whispered, more to herself than anyone else. As if in response to her question, the strange ship suddenly materialized just outside the station's force field. It was massive, easily dwarfing the largest vessel they'd ever serviced. Its surface rippled like water, reflecting the stars around it in mesmerizing patterns. A voice crackled over the station's communication system. It wasn't so much a voice as a series of melodic tones that somehow formed words in their minds. "Greetings, fixers of the unfixable," the voice sang. "We seek your legendary skills." Sarah exchanged glances with Raj, then took a deep breath and activated the comlink. "This is Chief Engineer Sarah Chen of Stellar Fix-It. We welcome you and offer our assistance. May we ask who you are and what seems to be the problem?" There was a pause, and then the voice returned, its tones now tinged with what sounded like embarrassment. "We are the Flux, travelers from beyond the galactic rim. Our ship is unwell. It refuses to be." Sarah blinked, trying to process this information. "I'm sorry. Could you clarify what you mean by refuses to be?" The answer came not in words, but in a series of images that flashed through Sarah's mind. She saw the ship, or rather, the being that was the ship, struggling to maintain its form. Parts of it would fade in and out of existence, causing great distress to the Flux beings inside. "Oh," Sarah said softly, understanding dawning on her face. "Your ship is having trouble staying in our dimension." "Correct," the Flux responded. "We have traveled far, hearing tales of human problem-solving prowess. Can you help us?" Sarah looked around at her team. They all wore expressions of equal parts excitement and terror. This was far beyond anything they'd ever attempted before. It wasn't just a mechanical problem or a software glitch. They were being asked to stabilize an interdimensional being. Taking a deep breath, Sarah made her decision. "We'll do our best to help you. Please, can you bring your ship, yourself, into our main hangar? We'll need to run some tests." As the Flux ship slowly maneuvered into the station, word spread quickly. Aliens of all species gathered to watch, their own repairs forgotten in the face of this unprecedented event. Sarah and her team worked feverishly, setting up sensors and running scans they'd never used before. The ship's constant shifting made it hard to get consistent readings, but slowly a picture began to emerge. "It looks like their quantum matrix is destabilized," Raj said, scratching his head. "But I've never seen a quantum matrix this complex before. It's like trying to solve a 100-dimensional Rubik's Cube." Sarah nodded, her mind racing. "We need to think outside the box on this one. way outside the box. She turned to her team. Okay, people, I want ideas. Crazy ideas. The kind of ideas that would get you laughed out of any respectable engineering school. Go. For hours they brainstormed and argued, tried and failed. The flux ship's condition seemed to worsen, parts of it becoming transparent or disappearing altogether. Just when it seemed hopeless, a young intern named Lai spoke up. What if we treat it like a song? Everyone turned to look at her. Lai blushed but continued. Well, they communicate in tones, right? And quantum physics is all about vibrations and frequencies. What if we could, I don't know, sing the ship back into our dimension? There was a moment of silence. Then Sarah's face split into a wide grin. Lai, that's brilliant. Crazy, but brilliant. Let's do it. As the team rushed to convert their idea into reality, Sarah couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. This was why aliens came to human repair stations, not because humans had the most advanced technology or the most knowledge, but because they were willing to try the impossible, to think in ways no one else would. The real work was just beginning, but Sarah knew that somehow they would find a way. After all, that's what humans did best. The main hangar of Stellar Fixit buzzed with a mix of excitement and tension. At its center, the flux ship shimmered and flickered, parts of it fading in and out of existence. Around it, Sarah Chen and her team worked tirelessly, their faces creased with concentration. Okay, let's go over this one more time, Sarah said, her voice hoarse from hours of nonstop work. We need to create a song that matches the quantum frequency of the ship and helps it stabilize in our dimension. Any ideas on how to do that? Raj scratched his head, looking at the complex equations on his tablet. We've got the basic frequency mapped out, but it's constantly changing. It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. Lai, the young intern who had come up with the initial idea, spoke up hesitantly. What if we don't try to match it exactly? What if we create a complementary frequency instead, like harmony in music? Sarah's eyes lit up. That's brilliant, Lai. We don't need to chase their frequency. We need to support it. She turned to the rest of the team. All right, people, let's compose a quantum symphony. The next few hours were a flurry of activity. The team repurposed sound equipment, quantum scanners, and even parts from a karaoke machine that someone had smuggled onto the station. They worked in shifts, each person contributing their unique skills to the bizarre project. As they worked, aliens from all over the station gathered to watch. Word had spread quickly about the strange new ship and the humans' unconventional approach to fixing it. Some scoffed at the idea, calling it ridiculous. Others watched in fascination, wondering if they were about to witness either a miracle or a spectacular failure. Finally, after what seemed like days but was only about 14 hours, Sarah stepped back and wiped the sweat from her brow. I think we're ready for a test run, she announced. The team gathered around a makeshift control panel, a hodgepodge of different technologies cobbled together. Sarah took a deep breath and placed her hand on the main switch. Here goes nothing, she muttered, and flipped the switch. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a sound began to fill the hangar. It wasn't exactly music, at least not in any conventional sense. It was a complex tapestry of tones, hums, and vibrations that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of reality. The flux ship pulsed in response, its ever-changing surface rippling like the surface of a pond. For a moment, it seemed to stabilize, its form becoming more solid and defined. Excited murmurs ran through the crowd of onlookers. Sarah and her team exchanged hopeful glances. Could it really be this easy? But then, without warning, the ship let out a piercing shriek. The sound cut through the quantum symphony like a knife, shattering equipment and sending everyone to their knees, clutching their ears in pain. When the noise finally subsided, Sarah looked up to see the flux ship flickering more violently than ever. Parts of it were disappearing faster now, fading into nothingness before reappearing moments later. What happened? Raj shouted over the ringing in everyone's ears. Sarah shook her head, trying to clear it. I don't know. It's like we hit the wrong note in the song. We made it worse instead of better. The voice of the flux, when it came, sounded weaker than before. We appreciate your efforts, it sang, the melody faltering. But we fear we may be beyond repair. Sarah felt a wave of frustration and despair wash over her. She had never failed to fix something before, and she wasn't about to start now. But as she looked at the deteriorating ship, she couldn't help but wonder if they had finally encountered a problem too big for even human ingenuity to solve. The aliens watching began to mutter among themselves. Some were already turning away, shaking their heads. Even Sarah's team looked defeated, their earlier excitement replaced by exhaustion and disappointment. But as Sarah watched the Flux ship struggle to maintain its existence, something clicked in her mind. She remembered something from her quantum mechanics classes, a theory so wild that it had been dismissed as impossible. "Wait," she said softly, then louder, "Wait. I think I know what we did wrong." Her team turned to her, hope rekindling in their eyes. Even the departing aliens paused, turning back to see what the human engineer had to say. Sarah's mind was racing, piecing together a plan so crazy it just might work. She grinned, the fire of determination burning in her eyes. "All right, team," she said, her voice filled with renewed energy. "We've got work to do. This ship isn't going anywhere. Not on my watch." As Sarah began to outline her new plan, the atmosphere in the hangar shifted. The sense of defeat was replaced by cautious optimism. After all, if there was one thing the galaxy had learned about humans, it was this. They were at their best when faced with the impossible. Sarah Chen stood in the center of the hangar, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Around her, her team leaned in, eager to hear her new plan. Even the aliens who had started to leave paused, curiosity overcoming their disappointment. "Okay, listen up," Sarah began, her voice filled with renewed energy. "We've been thinking about this all wrong. We've been trying to force the Flux ship to stay in our dimension. But what if, instead, we help it exist in multiple dimensions at once?" Raj's eyes widened. "You mean like quantum superposition? But that's only supposed to work on a subatomic level." Sarah nodded, a grin spreading across her face. "Exactly. But the Flux ship isn't from our universe, maybe for them. Existing in multiple states is natural. We just need to find a way to stabilize it." "Lie," the young intern spoke up. "But how do we do that? We can't exactly put the whole ship in a box like Schrödinger's cat." "No, but we can create a field that mimics those conditions," Sarah replied. She turned to her team. "I need us to build a quantum field generator. It's going to be big, and it's going to be weird, but I think it's our best shot." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Sarah's team raided every part of the station for components. They cannibalized old ships, repurposed quantum computers, and even used parts from the station's artificial gravity system. As they worked, Sarah explained her plan to the Flux. The ship's voice was weaker now, but it managed to convey understanding and gratitude. "Your idea is intriguing," the Flux sang softly. "We have never considered existing in such a way, but we trust you." Those words filled Sarah with determination. She worked harder than ever, her hands flying over circuits and wires, her mind racing with calculations and theories. Finally, after what seemed like days but was only about 10 hours, the device was ready. It looked like nothing anyone had ever seen before, a bizarre combination of sleek technology and jury-rigged parts, all surrounding a central chamber large enough to encompass the Flux ship. "All right," Sarah said, wiping sweat from her brow. "This is it. Are we ready?" Her team nodded, their faces a mix of excitement and nervousness. The watching aliens held their breath, not entirely sure what they were about to witness. Sarah took a deep breath and flipped the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a low hum, the device came to life. The air around the flux ship seemed to shimmer and twist, as if reality itself was bending. The ship's form began to change. Instead of flickering in and out of existence, it seemed to multiply. Ghostly images of the ship appeared, overlapping and shifting, like 1,000 photographs taken in rapid succession. "It's working," Rad shouted. "The ship is maintaining quantum superposition on a macro scale." But their celebration was premature. As the seconds ticked by, the multiple images of the ship began to separate, drifting apart like soap bubbles. "No, no, no," Sarah muttered. "We need to contain it somehow. We need. Suddenly, Liz's voice cut through the chaos. "Music. We need the music." Without waiting for approval, Lai ran to the console they had used for their first attempt. She began to play the quantum symphony they had composed earlier, but this time, she added new elements, improvising on the spot. The effect was immediate. The drifting images of the flux ship paused, then slowly began to coalesce. As Lai played, adjusting the music in response to the ship's movements, the multiple versions of the ship started to sync up. Sarah watched in awe as the flux ship stabilized. It was still shifting and changing, but now it seemed controlled, purposeful. The ship was no longer fighting to exist. It was dancing between dimensions. The voice of the flux, when it came, was stronger than ever. It sang a melody that harmonized perfectly with Lee's improvised symphony. "We understand now," the flux sang. "This is who we are, who we have always been. You have not just repaired us, you have awakened us." A cheer went up from the watching crowd. Aliens of all species clapped and shouted, amazed by what they had just witnessed. Sarah's team hugged each other, laughing and crying with relief and joy. As the celebration continued around her, Sarah stood quietly, looking at the flux ship with wonder. They had done more than fix a problem. They had expanded the very boundaries of what was possible. And in doing so, they had once again proven why, across the galaxy, when something seemed truly impossible to fix, there was only one place to go: a human repair station. News travels fast in space, especially when it's this extraordinary. Within hours of the successful repair of the flux ship, the story had spread across 3 sectors of the galaxy. The impossible had been done, and it was humans who had done it. Sarah Chen and her team at Stellar Fix, it became instant celebrities. Messages flooded in from all corners of known space, congratulating them, asking for interviews, and of course, requesting repairs. "I can't believe this," Raj said, staring at the holographic display showing hundreds of incoming messages. "We're famous." Sarah chuckled, shaking her head in disbelief. "Famous for fixing a ship by making it exist in multiple dimensions at once. Only in our line of work, huh?" But there was no time to bask in their newfound fame. The success with the flux ship had opened the floodgates. Ships of all shapes and sizes were now heading towards Stellar Fix-It, each with problems more bizarre than the last. A Zagonian cruiser arrived, its hull covered in time bubbles that caused different parts of the ship to exist in different time periods. Close behind was a Quasar Queen's personal yacht, which had accidentally absorbed a small black hole and was slowly imploding. Sarah and her team worked tirelessly, tackling each new challenge with the same mix of creativity, determination, and just a touch of insanity that had helped them save the flux ship. As they worked, alien news crews arrived, eager to document the miracle workers of Stellar Fix-It. Holographic cameras floated around, capturing every moment of the humans' innovative repairs. "And here we see the famous Sarah Chen," one reporter said, his tentacles waving excitedly. "She's currently attempting to reverse the polarity of a neutron flow to save a ship that's been turned inside out. Absolutely fascinating." Sarah tried to ignore the cameras, focusing instead on the complex array of tools and improvised devices in front of her. "Raj," she called out, "I need more power to the temporal stabilizer. And Lai, keep that quantum harmonic going." We can't let the ship fold back on itself. As they worked, more and more alien spectators gathered. Some had traveled for days just to watch the humans in action. They gasped and cheered with each successful repair, their awe growing with every seemingly impossible problem solved. But not everyone was thrilled with the human success. In a dark corner of the station, a group of alien engineers huddled together, their faces or equivalent features twisted with jealousy and concern. "This is unacceptable," one hissed, its scaled skin rippling with agitation. "These humans are making us look incompetent. If this continues, we'll be out of business." Another nodded its eye stalks in agreement. "We must do something. Perhaps we could sabotage their next repair. Make it too difficult even for them." As they plotted, unaware that their conversation was being overheard by a small cleaning bot, Sarah and her team faced their biggest challenge yet. A massive ship had just arrived, its form barely visible as it phased in and out of reality. It belonged to the Enigma Collective, a mysterious race known for their mastery of abstract physics. "Greetings, humans," came a voice that seemed to speak directly into their minds. "We have heard of your prowess. We present to you our ship, the Paradox. It is both broken and not broken, existing in a state of quantum uncertainty. Can you fix that which may not need fixing?" Sarah stared at the ship, her mind racing to understand the problem presented. This was beyond anything they had faced before. It wasn't just a technical issue, it was a philosophical conundrum made manifest. For a moment, doubt crept into her heart. Had they finally encountered a problem too abstract, too impossible, even for human ingenuity? But then she looked at her team, at Rad's determined face, at Lai's excited grin, at all the humans who had come together to make the impossible possible. And she smiled. "Well," Sarah said, cracking her knuckles, "I've always wanted to fix a paradox. Let's make the impossible possible. Again." As Sarah and her team began to tackle their most challenging repair yet, the watching aliens held their breath. The universe itself seemed to pause, waiting to see if the humans could once again redefine the very concept of impossible. Little did they know, as they focused on the mind-bending challenge before them, that a sinister plot was unfolding in the shadows of the station. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test not just their technical skills, but the very spirit that made human engineers the stuff of galactic legend. Sarah Chen stood before the Paradox, the Enigma-collected ship that both needed and didn't need repair. Her mind raced with possibilities, each more outlandish than the last. Behind her, her team waited, ready to jump into action at her word. "Okay," Sarah said, taking a deep breath. "Let's approach this logically. If the ship is in a state of quantum uncertainty, then our job isn't to fix it. It's to observe it," Lai exclaimed, catching on to Sarah's train of thought. Sarah nodded, a grin spreading across her face. "Exactly. In quantum mechanics, the act of observation collapses the wave function. We need to build a quantum observer on a massive scale." As the team got to work, the jealous alien engineers put their plan into motion. They snuck into the storage area, tampering with equipment and sabotaging tools. They were certain this would be enough to stop the humans. What they didn't count on was the small cleaning bot that had overheard their plans. It zipped through the station's maintenance tunnels, determined to warn Sarah and her team. Back at the main hangar, Sarah and her crew were hard at work. They had repurposed the quantum field generator from the Flux ship repair, adding new components to create a massive quantum observer. "All right," Raj called out. "The main array is online. We're ready to collapse the wave function of a ship-sized object." Just as Sarah was about to activate the device, the little cleaning bot burst into the hangar, beeping and whirring frantically. "What's wrong with that bot?" Lai asked, confused by its erratic behavior. Sarah knelt down, her eyes narrowing as she examined the bot. Years of working with all kinds of machinery had given her an almost intuitive understanding of their behavior. "It's trying to tell us something," she muttered. Then her eyes widened. "Check the equipment." Now, The team scrambled to inspect their tools and devices. Sure enough, they found signs of tampering everywhere. If we had activated the quantum observer with these faults, Raj said, his face pale, it could have torn a hole in space-time. Sarah's face hardened with determination. Well, we're not going to let a little sabotage stop us. Let's fix this, and then we'll fix that ship. As the team worked to repair their own equipment, the Enigma Collective watched with growing interest. They had presented this challenge as a test, curious to see how the humans would approach an impossible problem. But now, they were witnessing something even more intriguing. The humans' ability to overcome not just technical challenges, but deliberate obstacles as well. Hours passed as Sarah and her team painstakingly checked and repaired every piece of equipment. The watching aliens were amazed by their persistence and ingenuity. Even the saboteurs, watching from hiding, felt a grudging admiration. Finally, everything was ready. Sarah stood before the control panel, her hand hovering over the activation switch. "Here goes everything," she said, and flipped the switch. The quantum observer hummed to life, its energy field expanding to encompass the paradox. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the ship's fluctuating form began to stabilize. "It's working," Lai shouted excitedly. "The wave function is collapsing." As they watched, the paradox's form settled into a single breathtaking configuration. It was a ship of impossible beauty, its design a perfect blend of function and artistry. The voice of the Enigma Collective filled their minds once more. "Remarkable. You have not merely repaired our ship, you have defined its very existence. We are impressed." A cheer went up from the watching crowd. Aliens of all species celebrated, amazed once again by human ingenuity. Even the would-be saboteurs found themselves caught up in the excitement. As the celebration continued, Sarah turned to her team, her eyes shining with pride. "We did it, everyone. We fixed the unfixable." Raj grinned, slinging an arm around Sarah's shoulders. "Just another day at Stellar Fix-It. Right, boss?" Sarah laughed, looking around at her team, at the marveling aliens, at the now-defined paradox. "You know," she said, "I think we might need to update our slogan. How about Stellar Fix-It, where the impossible is just another Tuesday?" As laughter and agreement rang out, Sarah knew that this was just the beginning. There would be more challenges, more impossible repairs, maybe even more sabotage attempts, but she and her team would be ready. After all, that's what humans did best. They faced the impossible, and they fixed it. In the weeks following the successful repair of the paradox, Stellar Fix, it became the most famous repair station in the known universe. Ships from every corner of the galaxy made the journey, hoping to witness the miracle workers in action. Sarah Chen and her team worked tirelessly, tackling each new challenge with the same mix of creativity, determination, and humor that had become their trademark. But even as they fixed the unfixable, they knew things had changed. They weren't just mechanics anymore. They were ambassadors for humanity. One quiet evening, as Sarah was finishing up some paperwork, she received an unexpected visitor. It was a representative from the Galactic Council, the governing body of most known civilizations. "Ms. Chen," the alien said, its translucent body shimmering with barely contained excitement, "I come with an important proposal." Sarah raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "I'm listening." The alien's body pulsed with vibrant colors as it spoke. "The Council has been watching your work closely. We believe that the skills and attitude demonstrated by you and your team could benefit the entire galaxy. We would like to establish a human engineering academy where beings from all species can learn your unique problem-solving approach." Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. This was bigger than anything she had ever imagined. That's quite an honor," she said, her mind racing with the possibilities. The alien nodded, its colors swirling faster. "Indeed, but that's not all. We also propose a series of cultural exchange programs. Many species are fascinated by human culture and wish to understand what drives your incredible creativity. As Sarah considered the proposal, she couldn't help but think back to where it all started. From fixing simple engine troubles to repairing ships that existed in multiple dimensions, they had come so far. And now they had the chance to share that journey with the entire galaxy. "I'll need to discuss this with my team," Sarah said, "but personally, I think it's a fantastic idea." The news spread quickly through the station. Humans and aliens alike were buzzing with excitement about the possibilities. Even the group of jealous alien engineers who had attempted sabotage earlier came forward, asking to be part of the new initiative. "We were wrong," their leader admitted, head bowed in shame. "Instead of trying to stop you, we should have been learning from you. Will you teach us?" Sarah smiled, extending her hand in a gesture of peace. "Of course. That's what this is all about, isn't it? Sharing knowledge, working together, making the impossible possible." In the following months, Stellar Fix-It underwent a massive expansion. New hangars were built to accommodate the influx of ships, and classrooms were added for the engineering academy. Beings of all shapes and sizes arrived, eager to learn the human way of problem solving. But it wasn't just about teaching aliens. Humans learned too. They gained new perspectives on the universe, discovered technologies they had never dreamed of, and formed friendships that spanned the cosmos. One day, as Sarah watched a class of mixed species working together to solve a particularly tricky engineering problem, she felt a surge of pride. This was more than just fixing ships. This was building bridges between civilizations. Raj appeared at her side, grinning widely. "Who would have thought, huh? We started out just trying to keep ships flying. And now look at us. We're changing the galaxy." Sarah nodded, her eyes misting slightly. "Yeah, we are. But you know what? In a way, we're still doing exactly what we've always done." "Oh." Raj looked at her curiously. "How do you figure that?" Sarah gestured to the diverse group of beings working together, sharing ideas, laughing at mistakes, and celebrating successes. "We're still fixing things, but now we're not just fixing ships. We're fixing misunderstandings, bridging gaps between cultures, repairing the divisions that have kept species apart for too long." As they watched, a cheer went up from the class. They had solved the problem, working together in a way that would have been unimaginable just a short time ago. Sarah smiled, feeling a sense of contentment wash over her. This was why alien ships flocked to human repair stations, not just for the technical expertise, but for the spirit of innovation, the willingness to tackle the impossible, and the ability to bring people together. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, humanity had found its place. They were the fixers, the problem solvers, the ones who could look at the impossible and see possibility. And as long as there were things to be fixed in the universe, humanity would be there, ready to take on the challenge. The future was bright, filled with endless possibilities. And it all started with a simple repair shop in space.